Yes, it's Let's Talk Call-In Radio. You know the spiel. We're here every week.
That's right. Well,
talking about interesting things. If you want to call in,
I'll be talking about interesting things. 663-8492.
That's to speak to us. But of course, the whole object of this week's programming is that you call our line to donate your hard-earned cash to this wonderful station that is in danger of. Well, it could be shut down if the proposed budget to make America great again, isn't that what it's called?
Well,
if that goes through, they're going to shut down CPB, Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and that's what we're talking about today, the future of public media. Yes, I'm joined in the studio by Charles Schultz, as you might be able to tell.
Yes,
Yoni Goldstein from Chicago, all the way from Chicago, just for this pledge drive. Amazing dedication to the art. And Stephen Hurwitz, of course.
Good morning.
And I'm Paul Raffel.
Just a point.
I'll let you talk.
I think you'll find I'm Paul Raffel. Yes, well, Paul is speaking. Charles, be quiet.
Charles, fill us in.
But the station doesn't get money from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, I thought? This station
does.
It does?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it did.
Yes, it's about, apparently it's about a quarter of our operating funds.
Wow.
So that would be a nasty big chunk that would go away should this laundry list of cuts and shutdowns and that they've wanted for 50 years, ever since the corporation was actually established. I think it was 67, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, Wilbur Mills, who was chairman of the Ways and Means Committee at the time, wanted it to be partially privately funded. He thought it would be too commie if it was all publicly funded. So it's the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Well, we'll dispel that notion entirely. There's no such thing as commie radio here.
That's right. Well, Mia is going to be fired if we don't raise this money. Mia? Oh, she left. So to save Mia Johnson's job is the goal today. 663-8492. And if they want to make a pledge, what do they call? Stephen, do you know what's the number?
No, I don't.
Right there.
Oh, okay.
It's 663-9050 if you want to make a donation to KWMR and save Mia's job.
That's a great number because it's common.
It's common.
There we go.
It's
to 90.5.
I know. What an amazing coincidence that is. And so we have. Thanks to Ginny and Will Felch. They have made a challenge grant for this hour. We have a goal of $1,000 for this hour. We can do that. And Ginny and Will Felch have generously given us a challenge grant of $200. So if we get $200, that money will be doubled like magic, thanks to the generosity of Ginny and Will Felch. And speaking of generosity, we also would like to thank Pat Holt, who called in during the last few minutes of the previous show and made a very generous donation. She loved Jim Fazackerly's comments, she says. So there you go.
And very quickly, you can get some groovy items here. For a $30 pledge, you can get a bandana, white with green or yellow with red. For $50, a KWMR ceramic travel mug.
Which is great, by the way. It's red. Yes.
I'll be stealing one of those.
There's a special code for that.
Mia, yes? Would you like to say something, Mia? Oh, look at that. Anyway, very shy. And terrified to lose her job if the Trump budget cuts happen.
That's right.
So,
How about your job? Do you have a job?
What do you like? This?
You can't cut the troublous man.
That's right. I'm recession-proof. But the topic of the show is public funding for the media.
Yes, well, the future of public media, really. I mean, if they have their way, they'll be destroying all kinds of things, of course. The laundry list that they've had for so many years, ever since the Roosevelt administration, they want to take away most things that are to do with the arts and to do with health and to do with well-being of their citizenry. And
what we're talking about here is not the elimination of art, but the elimination of art in public life.
Correct. Yes.
That's important to keep in mind. Yeah.
Do you? I mean,
could they eliminate art?
No. There will always be art, and there will always be artists. The question is, to what extent do we want that to be part of the public discourse?
Yeah. Should we be giving hard-earned tax dollars to artists? renowned troublemakers.
Hard-earned tax pennies, right? I mean, what
Exactly, yes.
percentage of the actual toll budget we're talking
Well,
about?
and so here, public broadcasting, about $1.35 per citizen per year is.
Have you ever gotten public funding for a project, Yoni?
In some way, I mean, we've received foundation support and grants
private.
that were ultimately kind of like attached to the NEA at some point along the chain.
What kind of projects are we talking about? What do you do?
So I'm a filmmaker. I work in mainly documentaries, some fiction, experimental films as well. So a lot of the projects that I work on have some sort of like social dimension, and that is supported through grants, through donations, through public engagement in the production of new works. It's important to note that unlike most countries in the world, like the United States does not have a like a national film board, right? It doesn't. There's no direct public support for filmmakers in the way that there are in other countries, and so we have we're constantly kind of like engaging in through nonprofits, through fiscal sponsors, which are ultimately kind of like the gatekeepers for the little bit of public funding that we do get, and all the other kind of like charitable contributions that citizens make.
So I mean, should you have state-funded art? I mean, I think it's actually quite problematic. So Paul Raffel take the view that, Charles, you don't want people to starve, but he's not willing to make the necessary sacrifices for the future, like I am. So I mean, because I think it is really problematic.
Well, the problem is not whether or not like art is state funded. The problem is what is the character of the state.
Right.
I mean, because there is state funding for art in other countries where, like I just came back from Hungary, right, where there's a lot of restriction around kind of like what kind of art gets funded and what kind of message does it carry. In Hungary, it's only the national message, right? But in other parts of Europe, like Germany, for example, France, or our neighbors to the north. Right, there is actually like a much more funding directed towards all kinds of expression, all kinds of both like very like successful, very critical, very vital production of work, but also kind of like failed experiments and understanding that like that there can't be a kind of restrictions around like what art is if we're going to commit to the idea of building art in the public sphere.
And so they fund things that don't have obvious marketability. They don't please a big audience. They're willing to risk money to have something that might
ultimately that should be the only thing that gets funded, right? I mean, if it's going to please everyone, if it's going to have like wide audience view, it should just be a commercial project. Then it could be
isn't the amount that we spend though? It's almost superfluous. There's so little spent on public art right now.
Well, I think there are
What
huge
difference is it gonna
missteps in
make?
I think some of it is sort of inevitable. We should get to Serrano and the public funding for arts in the 1980s. So 663-8492, please call us. You don't want to just listen.
Give us your views.
Excuse
me. I lost my voice for a moment there.
No, well, that's fine.
To call in and tell us your views on whether we should be getting a quarter of our funding from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, or if we should be entirely dependent upon your donations, which are coming in thick and fast.
Oh, look at this. We have a donation.
We have $100 donation. Thank you. Whoever you are, your
That's
name
a
will
hearty
be here.
donation, too.
That is a lovely
10%
donation.
Is the goal.
And we have a $200 challenge grant. So one more $100 donation, and that $200 donation will be transformed into $400 like magic. It's
and
a
you're
wonderful
almost halfway there.
Indeed.
Almost halfway there.
And that number is 663-9050 to give us money, or you can make checks out to Charles Schultz and send them general delivery to the Marshall Post Office, 94940. I'll make sure the money gets to KWMR.
Yes.
But there's also a special deal. Walter Murch has agreed to eat his shoe if I get to finish my film. So
That's right. An extraordinary thing. I reached out to Walter just a couple of nights ago, and he said he will eat his shoe if Yoni Goldstein finishes his documentary on set in Brasilia. We'll be talking about that tomorrow at 1 p.m.
tune in.
On KWMR.
Charles, Soupy Sales lost his show because he asked little children to send money to him.
Really?
Yeah.
He's from Detroit. There you go. Oh, and somebody's waving. Hello. Somebody's here.
There's a little child right there.
That's right. Here's a small child.
Multi-generational station this is. A wonderful 2.5-year-old.
A man has just
child.
brought a child in to donate to be sold into white slavery, but we can get a lot of money.
I like
for
the
a child.
Irish.
Yes.
Premium if they give $100.
It's a premium.
It's a
All right.
House for a week.
That's right. You can have this small child. Very darling.
Loving grandparents. They'll rent him out perhaps for a $100 donation. Hey, who
Indeed.
knows?
Rental children. The new reality.
I think there's an app for that actually, like developed right now in San Francisco.
So I received an email from a certain Stephen Hurwitz who said a round of golf and dinner for 12 at Mar-a-Lago plus protection should be able to cover KWMR's budget for a year. There you go. President Trump, if you're listening.
That's right. We would like a
You know you
donation
are.
from him. Yes, Donald Trump. He typically,
Now, well, that brings up the question. Would KWMR accept donations
dirty money.
the
from
Why
Koch
not?
brothers,
They
for
take money from anybody.
The
Are you kidding
Koch
me? No. What do you? I think KWMR was involved in all of those deals with the Contras,
The Contras.
bringing cocaine into the
Right.
United States. No, give me a break. They'll take money from anybody. Nobody turns down money. Stop it. So send us.
I have to just for the sake of transparency, admit to you that I do have regular contact with the Russians at least once a week. One of them's my mom.
Oh, that's right. He has a Russian mother. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it should be in government then,
That's
obviously.
right. If
Yeah,
you
it
call
should be.
in if you want Yoni Goldstein to be deported from the United States because of his ties to the Russians, specifically
Should
Miriam
be
Goldstein.
head of the NEA. That's your next role.
All right.
Oh, and here comes me again. So we're talking about public funding for the media. Call us, 663-8492. If you want to give us money, 663-9050, or just bring cash to the station and give it to the man in the check shirt.
So how important has public radio and public TV and this station been in your life? I mean, there's a child outside who, probably already likes the Muppets. Are they still on?
No,
I
not
don't
the
know.
Muppet Show, is that?
Sesame Street, that's still
I'm not
on,
really
isn't it?
nostalgic for that. It's funny
Well,
because
it's still going, isn't it?
I guess.
And it's
they
a
just
good learning tool for
The funny-
children. Keep them quiet, stick them in front of
That's
the TV.
right, because you abandon them to be raised by strangers and you work all the time. So, yeah, Sesame Street, good idea. No, they have an autistic character, but they should have it for the radio. It'd be great. Autism radio, that's what I'm supporting now. But no, again, I'd say the idea of the role of the state in terms of shaping the society, that came out of this moment in the post-war period. We'd had the Depression, had the Second World War, and people said, the consensus, what's called the post-war consensus, was that we're not just going to have laissez-faire capitalism, we're not just going to have business running everything. There's going to be this agreement between the state and the populace and the unions and the corporations, and we're going to manage our society in a different way. And that worked for a while, but it started to break down in the 70s, and it's even more decrepit today. I don't know if we can go back in time, or to a place where you have the CBC or the BBC, have a really different funding model. By the way,
Right.
the BBC and the CBC are under attack as well, right?
Of course.
Right now. I mean, they're
Along
getting-
with every public institution that
yeah, but this is a
the
long-term trend.
neoliberals think should not be run by public money. That if you want something, you got to pay for it out of your own pocket, and who's to say this is wrong?
Well, in some sense, I think they want to
Poor people.
replace. I think they want to replace the secular by the religious. So it's the government will, in some sense, fund the religious organizations.
Yes, in fact, Alabama
do.
is just allowing a church, their fundamentalist organization, to have its own police force, I think.
Oh, my
Because,
Lord.
Yeah, anyway.
Well,
Well,
and this is why.
Is that familiar? Oh man. Well, there's the thing when before it was KWMR, it was West Marin Community Radio, WMCR. We didn't have a frequency yet. And that was the big concern, that these public radio frequencies, the bottom end of the dial, were up for grabs. And who's going after them? The religious broadcasters, the fundamentalists, they were trying to get every public broadcasting frequency they could get, because that's their bread and butter right there. So that was a dicey little thing there. We had an engineer. We didn't know if he was actually working for the Christians.
Yeah.
Here's a bit esoteric. When I bought a new car, all the stations were tuned into these religious stations. Every one of them.
A new car.
But you drive a BMW. I mean, that's an improvement
true.
for that family.
It was a used car when I bought it.
But you know,
but actually, this goes back. Sorry, go ahead.
415-663-8492 to join the conversation. 415-663-9050 to donate to this wonderful station, which keep it going on the air. We like to think we're important
and prove that we have listeners. Please, please. I know I do. I talk to a lot of people. I ran into a woman on the street in Marshall. It's just one street. The other day, who said she listens to Let's Talk and really loves it. So you have people. I said, "Well, did you call in?" She said, "Oh no, I'm not going to do that." But
I've heard that as well.
Yeah.
it's bad for the reputation, I think, if you call in. But please, this is it's Pledge Week. Come now, don't call in if you don't want to talk to us. But if you want us to stop talking, you could donate. Or for a donation of $1,000, we will stop talking.
We'll
go to radio silence.
Okay.
But to go back to kind of like what we were saying before, I think I think it's actually the role of arts and art communities to take over these exceptional spaces that have been carved out for religion. And for religious institutions in our country. I think kind of this radio station, needs to become the new kind of like, the new
religion.
The new religion, the new temple of Marin County,
the
right?
Cult.
This is always kind of a futurist dream that you could have the power of religion, but you could repurpose it, or you could redirect the power of religion. So there was a great Russian poet that just took the stressed vowel sounds in the Lord's Prayer in Russian, but not the words, thinking that if you read just the e u a u a e, that this would give the power of the experience of saying this prayer collectively in a church, but without all of the religious baggage that came with it. It didn't work.
He needs funding, this guy.
This guy is dead now for 100 years. But
but this is actually kind of like because of course, like the mistake there is not that the words themselves have power, but the community and the support and the kind of the heritage of the church that that gives it power, right? And this is something that we already actually have in place with culture, with like civilization, right? With art, and I think like this is something that like we can expand our understanding of what we're trying to achieve with the religion that we can achieve with art, and I think like and at the same time also thinking about funding models, right? Like
tithes.
We pass around the plate. We have like an understanding that a life with meaning is a life worth living.
But people are, to use a term, not agnostic about this kind of thing. I mean, when I see arts funding coming out of foundations or just coming out of rich people, they want art to praise them. They want art to reconfirm their worldview, which is often quite bleak in my mind. So, as I often say, Charles Saatchi,
the world is bleak. Yeah.
Well, he funds artists that are going to reflect back to him his own sort of darkness, and so that's what you see. But so rich people, in the absence of state funding, I guess you could say, now are the sole source of funding for the arts, and I think that's a pretty sad state of affairs. I guess KWMR does help in this sense. One, mostly volunteer, a few employees, and it is funded by small donations mostly. I mean, that is a better model, right?
More donations, even, let's see, we have on the board now, we're almost up to $22,000 for the week. It's a $30,000 goal for this pledge drive. We only need $50 to get to $22,000. Why is that a goal? I would say don't stint yourself.
Yes.
Give us
all of the money.
All the money you have.
That's right. But the problem you see with crowdsourced
Nothing wrong
funding
with asking for money.
It's a tax break, by the way. Right. This is a 501c3. It's it's a wonderful thing. And so, we're almost. I mean, we're doing very well, but we don't want to. We don't want you to sit on your laurels, so to speak. We want you to call in 415-663-9050 and donate bigly.
That's right. As Hobbes said, charity exists to ease the burden of compassion on the rich man. So, all rich men and women, please call in.
Chicago, I know you're listening.
Oh, really?
Go down the alley. Like, I'm sure there's like $20 under our trash can you can find. And,
That's right. Rahm Emanuel, call in with some money. 663-9050 is the number if you want to give money. But you should call us and stop this program, which is now called Let's Hear Charles Talk.
Actually, somebody forgot to press the off button. So if you've been trying to call, 8492, please try again. I know it's been busy.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Oh boy.
Charles, maybe you're why we're not getting donations at this minute.
Well, I was the one that actually left that line blocked, so I'd have more time to talk. 663-8492. Please call in. But I mean, it's. I think we need something else. I don't think we can go back to the past and have like which we never did. We never had a BBC, specifically because a Democrat, in this case Wilbur Mills and a lot of Democrats thought that was too commie. They didn't want.
But we can use existing institutions.
Sure. But I mean, we talk about the nonprofit industrial complex, right? You have when you have to go and beg these people for money. I mean, that's not a very pretty model either.
No.
So I think it's something else.
Well, it's good for the soul, though, isn't it?
It humbles you, yeah.
10 reasons, 10 of many, to support KWMR. We broadcast to West Marin and beyond. We broadcast to the beyond. This is a wonderful thing.
The astral plane.
Into the afterlife.
The astral plane of Chicago.
You hear music you can't hear on mainstream radio stations. That's true. And, listening to your friends and neighbors on the radio makes you happy.
Are
you all
I got
happy
a lot
now?
of dirty looks.
Okay. If you're happy, send in money now, 415-663-9050. Or if you're unhappy, send in money to the same number. KWMR's Youth DJ Project gets kids on the radio. There you go.
That's a terrible idea.
Maybe that's what that 2.5-year-old
Kids don't know anything.
Was doing. It's the only place on the radio dial where folks read books to you. Is it really the only reading station?
No, that's not. Janet Robbins comes over and sits on the edge of my bed every evening and reads me a story. It's true. Thank you, Janet, by the way.
There's Professor Cosmo working tirelessly all night, playing a wonderful mix of music. KWMR, this is a very important thing, emergency services. When the roads are blocked, flooded, when there's a fire. That was part of the impetus to get this station going in the first place, that nobody knew what was going on in the big
We just want to be entertained, though, right? We don't want to do anything about the fire. We just like to know something.
And apropos to this particular program, you learn new and interesting things.
That's right.
Locally sourced free-range radio in the watershed is the best, and they have a cool van. We can broadcast from the communications van. Richard Dillman at the helm.
I don't know.
Whittling the dials. In the case of an emergency, if this place burns down, Richard will still be on the air.
That's right.
There may or may not be a mattress
nodding my head.
the back of that van.
Yeah, there's a cool van. Richard's mom says it's a cool van. Anyway, and 663-8492, join this conversation about public funding for media. And
yes. What is the future of the public media? I mean, if this money does go away, if the Corporation for Public Broadcasting is shut down, which there are Republicans actually standing up for the NEA and the NEH and the NIH, but I haven't heard any of them come out for a CPB yet. So it's always a possibility that they could shut it down. And what would happen? Would you miss PBS? Where would you get your Downton Abbey fix?
Downtown Abbey, hooker with a heart of gold.
Stephen.
Interestingly, NPR only 6% of their funding comes from the government.
6%.
That's all.
That's great.
And the rest is Chevron. I mean, so this is the problem.
Exactly.
PBS did this
ADM.
Well, PBS did this documentary, say, about Deepwater Horizon, this catastrophe, this epical catastrophe in the Gulf that happened. Nobody remembers that now. It's not interesting. And it's all about how bad BP was and how negligent and how this and that. At the end, this program was supported by a donation from Chevron. Blah, blah, blah. So, one oil company pays PBS to say the other oil company is doing a bad job.
Are you saying that Chevron can't do something good?
Yes. Yes, by name. Well, this is the thing. The institution itself was bad. It's like saying, didn't some slave owners treat their slaves nicely? Yeah. Didn't Jefferson really love Sally Heming? I bet. But that's not the point.
Well,
the point is the institution is
the
corrupt.
Koch brothers refinanced, I think it was a renovation of Lincoln Center. Should they have turned the money down, or should they?
Yeah,
be
they
happy
should.
with that?
Oh, really?
Look at this. Oh, we have things to read. We have two. We have two donations. Would you like to read these out, Mr. Goldstein? Just these last two.
Great. So we have a donation from Michael Deverell from Petaluma and Meredith Zelke from Chicago, who says, let's talk.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael and Meredith.
Michael and Meredith.
Far-flung places. So we're doing very, very well.
Oh,
here.
really?
We only need $880 to reach our goal. Come on now, people.
Okay, we need
know you're listening.
creative things that you can get. I will eat a whole lemon. Cliff Wilson did this for WCBN for a fundraiser many years ago, and he's a punk. And I will do it here. I'll eat 2 whole lemons. Got to be a little bit better than Cliff. If somebody makes a donation live on air, rind and all.
I don't know if you can do it on air. No food in the studio.
Just so fussy.
Right.
We'll have to do it in the van.
We'll have to do it in the van.
Let's do a remote.
How many
Here's
times
Stephen eating? Stephen. No, Stephen, you're not going to do it.
Okay, but
what would you do
I
if
eat
someone
every morning.
donates $1,000?
I have lemon every morning.
Well, hold on. Okay, I've got another one. You can have 3. We'll do the count. 1, 2, 3. Organic, GMO-free Strauss lemons. From a tree planted by Ellen Strauss and Paul Elmore in the year 2000. For a donation of how much do they have to pay for those 3 lemons?
$300?
$300 buys you
$100 a piece.
3 Meyer lemons. Strauss Meyer lemons.
Freshly
Strauss
squeezed.
Meyer lemons.
No,
actually planted by the amazing Ellen Strauss.
There you go.
Yes.
One of our local heroes, and so you can have these lemons. I'll bring them to the station for anybody who wants to make a donation.
And that tree's doing well in Marshall?
It's fabulous. It's an amazing tree. She had a green thumb, that Ellen Strauss. So 663-8492 to call in to This Is Let's Talk.
And let's not forget, there are premiums. We have bandanas, which are awfully stylish. They're actually maps of West Marin in red and yellow, or white on green, green on white. The red ceramic travel mug, for a donation of $50, you can ask for the ceramic travel mug, which is quite stylish, and it will actually fit in your mug holder in your car. And, of course, the wonderful hand-cranked emergency radio, the Eaton FRX1.
Eaton.
For $100, you can claim
that's
that
worth,
premium.
That's a steal.
I've got 2 of them.
You know, when I
Hey.
first moved to Marshall, there was a little property around us. First meeting with Ellen Strauss, she came over and said, "Well, what are you going to do here?"
Really? I have to do a station break. This is KWMR 90.5 in Point Reyes Station, 89.9 in Bolinas, 92.3 in San Geronimo Valley, broadcasting at all times on KWMR.org. KWMR is supported by The Smart Train, reminding listeners to always be alert and aware around all railroad crossings. Drivers should never stop on railroad tracks, and it's unsafe and illegal to walk on railroad tracks. More information at btracksmart.org. And Susan Hayes Handwovens, of course. The wonderful Susan Hayes, purveyor of local and American-made artisan clothing, supports KWMR, offering hand-loomed wraps, scarves, and sweaters made in Point Reyes Station, as well as American-made and fair trade clothing and jewelry. Open daily at 4th and B Street in Point Reyes Station in the Tomales Bay Foods Building. Online at SusanHayesHandwovens.com. And we're also supported by the Sustainable Sports Foundation, which puts on the Marin County Half Marathon, the Marin County Triathlon weekend, and the Celebrity Doodle Auction. All net proceeds from these events provide swim lessons for children from low-income families with an emphasis on water safety. More information online at sustainablesports.org. Thank you to our fabulous
Just to finish, we ended up raising veal.
Oh, well, how charming. So you can have some of Stephen Hurwitz's grass-fed veal. Are you still doing veal?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
In the closet. We keep them in the closet.
Oh, that's even better.
They don't see light.
Oh, delicious.
It's so tender.
That's right. You can have delicious veal and...
Pounded pounded before they get it.
Oh, got it. Let's see. This is Let's Talk. Call us, 663-8492.
Not touching that one.
The topic is public funding for media.
Yeah, and I want to say that we have our critique of of the economic structures that make public funding of the arts so dire and so necessary. And but at the same time, I have to admit that as an artist, I completely rely on public funding, and I'm here as an artist because of public funding. I think I would be an artist regardless. Maybe I would have like a full-time job as a a rabbi who makes dirty videos at home when no one's looking. But because of public funding, here I am. Able to
stop pervert rabbis. That's the key. Oh my Lord! Stop pervert rabbis. Call 663-9050 to stop.
And we have a caller. Caller, what's your name, please? You're on the air. Please, what's your language?
Okay, I won't swear.
Thank you.
It's MK in Seattle.
Hi, MK.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are things?
I'm dying here listening to you guys, waiting for people to call, so I'm calling.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're
There's
welcome.
Hello,
two
MK.
institutions that I support on a monthly basis, and one is KWMR, and the other is KCTS, public television in Seattle.
Uh-huh.
And I would miss them terribly if you asked a direct question, which I think you should probably do more of, give people something to answer. You said, would you miss PBS? And I would miss it very much.
Yeah. Good.
Well, thank you so
That's
much.
wonderful.
Well,
And
I don't know what else to tell you. In a few weeks, I want to meet you all.
Yeah.
well, so I mean, you're a watcher of PBS. You're a listener
Absolutely.
to NPR. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
It's an important part of your day.
Well, not so much NPR at this point.
Oh yeah, no, they're
They have some leanings that I don't necessarily approve of. But in the past I have. I love some of their fun and wonderful music and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm more of a visual bent right now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Thank you, MK.
I would miss it, and I support the KWMR because I listen to it a lot, and it's refreshing. You don't have anything like that here.
Oh.
I've found anyway.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, MK.
Right.
So you heard it there from MK up in Seattle
Well,
that it's
yeah.
time for everyone to donate now. Come on
That's
now.
right. Yeah, we
Pony
had our
up,
one
people.
caller. We've done it. And
Right, and to follow up on that caller's comment, I mean, I think like PBS, ITVS, the POV series. I mean, they're they obviously do create incredible, entertaining programming for children, and that's educational. But they also support serious documentary work, serious investigative journalism, and they do. It's something that is actually one of the last remaining vital forces in American documentary cinema.
But what were you telling me? You said this is a while back. I mean, I guess you recall something you told me years ago, which is Ira Glass saying, "No, this new corporate or
I have
private."
no recollection of this.
Hi, this is Ira Glass. No, this is David Sedaris. Stop it, Ira. Stop it, David.
That he's fine with that because he's a star, right? And he can get funding for his projects. He says, "Oh, great, we get corporate donations. That's fantastic." But that's he already sort of after having ascended the ladder of public funding, he can kick the ladder away for other people and say, "Oh no, it's fine to have this private."
To do away with public funding?
Yeah, because he's already established his career and can get his stuff made.
I don't know. I don't remember this conversation, but that might be true. But at the same time,
he's afraid of Ira Glass. He's like a gangster in Chicago, isn't he?
That's true. Yeah, even though he doesn't live in Chicago, he still has a presence. But
folks
I do remember Ira Glass getting on WBZ, our Chicago public radio station, and he makes the case. Look, the truth is that you as a listener don't have to do anything, right? You can. You can listen to the radio station. The radio will still be on. Like I said, artists will still make art. Documentarians will still make documentaries. Journalists will still be journalists. But at the same time, you're just passing the buck, right? I mean, you're just letting other people take care of it. And at the end, if you want that, if you want art to be part of the public sphere, if it's if you consider it something that is part of the commons, then you should
think
call
it's
in and make a contribution.
Well, MK brought up something very interesting. She does not like her public station, like NPR, so she's not going to donate. So in a sense, the Republicans, the conservative, don't like the direction that the independent media, so they don't want to donate. It's just interesting that people react in the same way depending on both sides of the spectrum.
Well, this is the idea of market democracy, right? You vote with your dollars, and that's
we hope that's not why the phones aren't ringing right now.
Yes. 663-9050. Please call. Give these people money and call us 663-8492 and say something. And anybody listening, maybe we need some Chicago callers here. Please 663-849. It's 415. I'm sorry, 415-663-8492. Or 663-8317.
And for only $80, $80 more dollars than we've met the matching grant.
Yeah, we need that.
Oh, that's right.
This is terrifying.
Yes, please. Come on now. We have a $200 challenge grant, which means that if we get another $80, that $200 will magically turn into $400. So please.
And we need to auction off something even
663-9050.
Something I once, without telling Paul, but didn't give him the opportunity to say no, auctioned off a date with Paul Raffel. The person paid for the date, and Paul stood her up. That's what I just wanted to say.
When was this?
This was some time ago. But so we could do a date with Yoni Goldstein. He's here until the 27th. I didn't tell him that I was going to auction this off. And I should say the other interesting challenge: Walter Murch will eat his shoe if Yoni Goldstein finishes his film. But we'll talk about that more tomorrow at 1 p.m.
That's quite a vote of confidence.
You mean Murch to make that
yes.
bet? I was very surprised. I tried to contact him in the past. He didn't get back to me. And then, one, he gets back to me. Two, he makes this outrageous claim. So thank you, Walter, and we look forward to that.
Excellent. And where are you looking for your funding for your film now?
That's a good question. So, as you can imagine, it's a constant, hustle. So we do get support, as I mentioned before, from certain nonprofit arts organizations, the Graham Foundation, which is avant-garde architecture and design organization that supports projects that deal with these kind of in this domain. Also funding from the Kenneth Reining Foundation, the Filmmaker Fund, and another way that I'm funding the post-production process with my team, Meredith Zelke,
right. And anyone else?
Andrew Benz and Sebastian Alvarez, is to pursue the model of artist residencies, right, which are these spaces that have been carved out for artists to create new work and to research and to develop existing projects. And so, like I mentioned before, I was in Budapest for 4 months at an artist residency there to kind of initiate the editing phase of the film.
Yeah.
And we need your money as well. 663-9050. For a donation of $150, you can get the ability to donate another $150 to Yoni's film. So that's the premium for a $150 donation to KWMR is a $150 donation to Yoni Goldstein. Just $300 altogether. We call the show as well, 663-8492. It's very, very lonely here.
Yes, this is a jewel of a little station. We do things on this station that most stations would not do.
Are we going to talk about that? I thought that was our secret. Anyway,
it's a really different kind of local station that is also, in times of emergency is a useful tool because we have the generator, or even when the power is down and the place is on fire, we have the generator, backup generator, and we have the comm van that will be driving through your neighborhood, broadcasting this show to you all if in the event of a dire emergency, nuclear blast or anything like that.
Well, the
comm van will still be going.
Did you have this thing that every Hanukkah in Chicago, there's these Orthodox Jews who drive around around town with like a giant menorah and a loudspeaker. It's like,
Bring out your Jews.
is there something that we can is there something we can do with the van here? Like, blast KWMR.
I think we
streets?
should.
Yeah.
I think they should. They need bold people like me to push them in that direction because they're naturally timid. But that's all right.
How about becoming the Messiah, though, Charles?
Oh, well, I got you beat. Or we don't say Messiah anymore. It's called Bodhisattva. This is West Marin. Okay, please leave your...
and there's no property taxes if you are in the Messiah.
Yes.
This is wonderful.
Oh, that's great. No, I mean, the tax benefits of being the Messiah alone are worth it. So...
Yes, definitely.
663-8492. Call. We're talking about public funding for the media.
What is the future of the public media?
Who's going to miss Sesame Street? That was just nonsense. Anyway, but it's problematic because I don't think we can go back to that where we never did as Americans, right? Because it was considered too socialist or too communist to have solely public-funded media. So the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, think about the C at the beginning of that name, and so there was never a BBC or a CBC in America. We did a totally different model, and it has all of its problems. And people saying, well, this bad model is going away. That's terrible, but we can't go back into the past. I think we have to be creative, as you were suggesting. We got to come up with maybe using the same institutions to find different ways to fund the arts and fund the news.
Right. I mean, Charles and I were looking at Suhail Malik last night, right? And what he's talking about, he's a scholar and a critic.
I don't know about those pink gloves, though.
Yeah.
That was a bit much.
And what he's looking at, and what he's proposing is how do we get back to art being exuberant and vital, right? And he says what kind of gets in the way of that. One of the things that gets in the way of that is this model where art is considered kind of like this is something autonomous, something that's not part of society, something that is just for its benefactors or for this this cartel of the art market, right? And kind of like what we need to get back to, or at least kind of like what we need to recognize is that art is actually it's enmeshed in the public discourse. It's enmeshed in social life, and and that's kind of that's the role of that's the role of media, and that's the role of art, and that's the role of public participation in making sure that it's still around.
Well, aren't you talking about the art that's unsuccessful in terms of the marketplace?
That's great.
Because once it's successful, though, it seems to be co-opted, and then it becomes part of the establishment.
But we're in an even crazier phase in which the stuff that's successful is a reproduction of what was successful 40 years ago, right? I mean, my generation is not defining a new aesthetic. It's selling the 70s back to the boomers because they have all the money. And so if you want to... And Stephen, exactly, he's rubbing his hands.
He is so jealous.
Well, Stephen, we need your money. Could you go outside the studio, Stephen, and call the show?
I'm planning on getting us over the top here. Yeah. You only need $50 more.
Yeah, go for it.
80
to get the mansion grant.
We need $80. $80 for the manager. 663-9050.
Don't make me do it myself. Come on.
Make Steve. I don't care if Stephen does it. It's fine. Don't make me do it. And that's fine. They know I don't have $80.
This is 3 tanks of gasoline. It's nothing.
We should measure all of this. How much fuel
gasoline?
is this?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a real, I think, calculus for
you too. Yes, please call 415-663-9050. The fabulous Ann Sands from Dogtown is out there anxiously awaiting a call. Give her something to do, and she's just twiddling her thumbs.
That's right. We're taking people off the streets and giving them purpose.
415-663-9050. And get us at least over the top of this $200 challenge grant, and if not, give us more money than that, because we are nearly up to $22,000. But it's the annual budget of this station is about $390,000. So you can see that these little pledge drives we do, they may be really annoying right now. Or maybe it's just our show, but it's really important, and it's going to be even more important should this Trump budget come true.
I'm still questioning the goals here of the arts that you're talking about, because want to be successful. You want wider recognition. You're not doing this for an audience of 200 to see your documentary. So once you're successful, then what happens? Then all of a sudden you don't need that funding anymore, and so you join a bigger system.
I guess, I mean, but to me, the audience of the intellectual is other intellectuals. The audience of the artist is other artists. The problem is that this new neoliberal kind of market-based thinking is that everyone's trying to reach this imagined audience, which is just not there.
But given your definition, no wonder they don't want to give us any money.
I think the culture has just gotten poorer. I think this is, again, I talked to the local artist, Russell Chatham, and this was in the interview I did with him for the newspaper. It was, back in the 70s, he could sell lithographs for enough money because you had a sort of middle class in the United States that had this disposable income that would use to buy art, that he could fund his oil painting, which is such a long process, and the thing it comes out of is so expensive that most people can't buy it. And he said that market disappeared. And so now the art market is either the worst kind of kitsch that's cheap or the worst kind of kitsch that's extremely expensive. I don't know why I made a distinction there. It's the same stuff, just so you either get stuff at Target, or you get Jeff Koons reproducing objects from Target and selling them for $10 million.
I'm a real fan of Jeff Koons, by the way.
Steve. We'll talk about this later. Jeff
Koons' factory.
So the world has gotten poor.
You guys don't understand this guy.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
This is another hour.
He's one of my favorite. I hate to say this.
Oh,
Boy.
Stephen.
Well.
But that's all right. Anyway.
Someone's buying it.
I think the country is poorer, right, in relative terms, right, because it's still fabulously wealthy, but people feel poorer, and people are putting less money into the arts because of that. They don't.
Well, isn't art sort of alienating too? I mean, real serious art. It's kind of
shocking.
It's all about shock, right?
Oh, well, not all about shock, but it is the cliche of Damien Hirst, right?
I mean, some of it is, right? I mean, some of it is about alienation. Some of it is about mystification or demystification, or making something uncomfortable, or something that challenging, or unmooring kind of like some of your assumptions, right? I mean, I guess like for me, success is not necessarily like measured in terms of like what my audience is. For me, it's about. No.
This is probably good. I don't know.
No, I mean, don't you think? Because you can't set. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if you're an artist or not. You just can't set yourself. You can't set goals like that for yourself,
right.
Because, you realize at some point that by achieving or getting close to achieving these goals, and if you make these goals, your life's purpose, that you're extinguishing your own life's purpose, right? And so you never want to articulate it in that way, because you're just kind of like, at some point you realize you're working yourself towards death. And you don't want that, right? So for me, it's about it's about generating ideas and generating aesthetic language that's going to generate other ideas and other aesthetic language. So the idea is to always be doing this.
Granted.
And
nice.
So I don't know. It doesn't. So if I make a work that only speaks to 100 people, I mean,
so what?
Great. I mean, like, how often do you get to speak to the heart of 100 people? Even if I don't know. I mean, like, that doesn't happen to me very often. I think if it speaks to 1 million people, great. I mean, the question is kind of like, how do kind of we make work that is that it doesn't compromise us as people, and that applies not just to artists; it applies to everybody.
But we're not talking about your conversation with 100 people. We're talking about whether or not the estate wants to fund the type of activities that you describe. And I totally can see if that's what they're being asked to fund, then I can see why they don't want to do it from their perspective.
Yeah, because if we apply, these metrics, right, then of course not. But I think that very idea of public funding and public investment is that you invest in risky things. You invest in ideas that are uncomfortable or abnormal or somehow are kind of like opening new paths, and And some of them, and most of them, are going to be failures, right? And this is why we have but we have this idea that we want to move forward. We want to move forward aesthetically. We want to move forward intellectually. We want to move forward creatively. And that's not going to happen if we just, keep recapitulating the past.
And they're seeds, really.
Yeah.
You're creating seeds that grow into much larger ideas.
Well, like I say, it's unfortunately it's happening less and less because of the demand to sell. I think that you have to reduce. What we should be most interested in is reducing the cost of living. Right, so that you have people who have, like, for instance, landlords. Stephen told me this privately earlier. He's free rent from now on at his place, just in case anyone's listening. That you need to reduce the cost because people need to have the leisure of their creativity. I mean, I see all this creative potential that's wasted because it's so expensive to survive in the style that is considered normal. People just have to work in alienated performances, just to maintain that. And
absolutely, and we need to create. We need to create a state that allows for people to engage in art and to have an education in art. I was in Europe and I went to a screening of the experimental ethnographic films from the polar north. Which if I went to a screening like that in Chicago, there may be like 2 or 3 people in the audience, right? And I went to a screening in Budapest and the theater was full. And the reason that happens, and you see this when you go to film festivals and you go to museums and you go to art exhibits in Europe, is that you see that it's full of people and everyday people, and not just a certain kind of like subset of the intellectual elite. You see kind of like because people have vacation days, because people take holidays, people have time to get out of their house and explore and take their kids, and it's part of the fabric of society. And I think that's. I think this is something that is a bigger picture of what America's never had, but also what Trump is trying to destroy the very little that we do have.
Don't you think that if we didn't have the overbloated defense budget, there would be so much more money to go around for all these things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although the CIA did fund a lot of early modernism. But yeah, sure.
Quickly, David Clarkson, former mayor of Marshall, now lives in Point Reyes. David Clarkson said, "Let's Talk" is the only program he listens to. That's what
David,
it says here.
Isn't that nice?
And Lucy Vitale from Hibbing, Minnesota. Has called in and made a donation.
Thank you so much.
2 more donations here. We don't know for how much.
No, that's not important. The point is that you've made donations.
I know where you work, Clarkson. If it isn't a big donation, I'm coming over there after the show. You see, this is a whole different tack. Preachers, evangelicals, the preachers on TV that ask for their money, they're always trying to tell you that they love you and God loves you. And KWMR is kind of a version that, you're our wonderful listeners. I'm taking the opposite view. You punks better call 663-9050 and give us some money. Or else.
We know where you all live.
That's
we
right.
have 4 minutes to do it.
Yes, so you can also, of course, donate online at kwmr.org and do so often and bigly because this station needs to stay on the air. It's a wonderful little jewel of a little non-commercial station.
KWMR embiggens us all.
Embiggens.
So how much more do I have to come up with to meet our challenge?
All of it.
I don't know. We haven't had an update. I mean,
and you're going to be pinched since you gave up charging.
I'd say $1,000.
No, I'm talking about the 200.
I think we got to be there.
It said 120, but we got some new donations.
We did. I don't know what the tally is right now, but
the whole city of Chicago is listening. Only 1 person donated.
By the way, this is the kind of I'm talking about a Trump promise.
What is that? What is that?
A Trumpian promise.
So
we've got to make KWMR great again.
No, that's not true.
We've got to close it up here now because I believe that yes, there's somebody waiting to come in. It's going to be live, and we're not used to that here. So thank you so much, Charles, and Stephen, as always, and Yoni. Thank you for being here in the studio. Fabulous. And please, yes, do call in 415-663-9050 to donate as much as you possibly can. KWMR does not take a stand on any of the issues discussed on Let's Talk. Opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts and callers and don't necessarily reflect the views of KWMR, its board of directors, underwriters, or members. We'll be back next week, Thursday at 11 a.m. Call in, won't you? Bye now.